Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports. We have with us a very special feature tonight. We welcome back all the way from the USA, international matchmaker, Rick Glaser. Rick, how are we doing?
Good, and I'd like to say hello to the boxing fans around the world out there tonight. And I hope everything's well over in the UK. It's a wonderful place.
Rick, it's great to have you back on the show. You are an absolute breath on the show. For those people who don't know who you are, can you just give them a quick reminder as to who you are?
I'm an international agent, broker, consultant, matchmaker in the professional boxing business now full-time for 27 years. I'm an elector at the Hall of Fame in Canastota, New York, the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And I seem to be everybody's go-to guy for boxing problems.
Absolutely. So absolutely. You've got a wonderful Facebook page that people go to and get all their breaking news and information from.
Thank you very much. Well, it's the kind of situation where I talk a lot about not just the sport of boxing, but the business of boxing, and nobody talks about the business as far as any of the writers. They don't really talk about the business at all about the sport, about the fights and the fighters. And I think people need to understand why certain fights don't get made, or in the timely fashion that the fans want them to happen in. For example, right now the Joshua, Wilder, everybody wants to fight, and now Joshua's going to be fighting Povetkin, and he shouldn't be fighting Povetkin. And I think Eddie Hearn is 100% correct in doing that. Not because Povetkin is as good as Wilder, or it's a win-lose situation. It's about dollars and cents. Povetkin just won a fight over there against David Price. Even though Price doesn't have a good chin, he scored a spectacular knockout and on the Joseph Parker show, and Joseph Parker versus Joshua. And in the meantime, it's a good build-up to the next fight. And the fact, coupled with the fact that Povetkin is the WBA and the WBO #1 mandatory, they'll get that out of the way. And dollars and cents wise, that fight makes more sense right now than a Wilder versus Joshua, because of the fact that Wilder will probably command about 2.5 to 3 times as much money as Povetkin will. And don't forget that Povetkin brings his own Russian TV deal to the table. The American TV, Joshua, so you get with or without Wilder. It doesn't even matter if he fights or not. No matter who he fights, it's going to be shown in America, whether it's with his own streaming that Eddie Hearn is doing now, or whatever it's going to be on. It's going to be on, and he don't have those rights, so he doesn't need Wilder. Now, going down the road, okay, let's just say, assuming he's successful in victory against Povetkin, Joshua is, and let's say he fights the IBF mandatory next. At that point in time, Wilder fights a few more times, the fight marinates, the fight will be worth paying Wilder $15 million, $17, $18 million. It's not worth paying in that right now. What you can get a guy like Povetkin for $6 million and give him the Russian TV rights. The fight isn't that much bigger because of Wilder. Okay, because what's his name? Povetkin won the gold medal. He's a former WBA champion. He's only got one loss, and that was the Klitschko. So he's got a lot of credibility. Especially most all his fights have been over in Germany and some of them in Russia. He's known throughout the world, more so than Wilder is, I believe. Okay, more so than Wilder is worldwide. So I think it's a smart move by Eddie Hearn. I don't think I think the fans won't feel that way, but as a businessman in professional boxing, I'm saying now's the time to fight Povetkin, and let that fight Joshua and Wilder marinate and let it get bigger and bigger.
See, one of the reasons why I love speaking to you is because you can actually talk about the business of boxing. A lot of people on across the YouTube universe, they'll talk about fighters, they'll talk about fights being made, they'll talk about percentages, but don't really understand the nuts and bolts about the business of boxing. And that's why I come to you.
Separates me. That's what I understand what happens in the ring. I understand the science of the game as well as anybody does. But I can also talk about the business from a professional standpoint. Most people only understand what they see in the ring. I know what goes on in the back room. I know what goes on. Who's kissing who, who's hugging who, and who's shaking hands, and who hates one another. So this all plays into these type of fights. You know, of any nature where you have real competent professionals at a high level competing against one another. You know, at a low level, that doesn't happen. You understand? But at a big level, that happens. And, you know, there's a lot of backfighting and stuff, and you got to know who's aligning with who.
Okay, few questions. First and foremost, the Povetkin fight with Joshua should be really of no surprise. The minute Povetkin got on the plane and he got on the plane and he decided to fight David Price, and Joshua said that Wilder fight wouldn't happen until 2019, the clues were all there as to who Joshua would be fighting next, which makes me wonder whether Povetkin and Joshua had already signed a deal and were just baiting Wilder along for 3 months.
No, there was no deal. There was no deal in advance because if Rabinski, the promoter of Andre Rabinski, the promoter of Povetkin, and Eddie weren't able to make a deal, it would have gone to purse bids. And that is, Eddie's not going to let that happen because he's not letting his fighter fight in Russia. So that's not happening. So in the meantime, there was no deal made in advance. What I will say this, Eddie's a very smart promoter. Okay, at least he's proven that for sure in the UK. You know, the jury's still out over here, but he's on his way over here. Okay, I'm not saying anybody's going to call him the next Don King or Bob Arum over here, but in the meantime, he's making inroads into America. But the fact is, he knows the lay of the land in the UK, and he realizes that Povetkin knocking out a David Price would bring, you know, more credibility for Povetkin to be seen, and people get excited about that. So he did the right thing because he knew he had to fight him. So there was no deal made, but you know what? He was pacifying by fighting the unification bout for the WBO. He was pacifying the #1 contender for the WBA. That was part of it. Part of it was the build up to a Povetkin Joshua fight. He did 100% the right thing. Not even a question about it. And I mean, if I was in his shoes, I would have done the identical same thing. Not even thought about it twice.
Okay.
Next question.
Right. I think.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here. I think, Rick, people, that all sounds great, but people will still be angry at the fact that this thing between Wilder and Joshua was going on for so long. Why couldn't the promoter say, look, this fight's not going to happen until 2019. We're going to face Povetkin, and that's that?
Well, I think there was a lot of posturing because I don't think either side wanted it right now. I can't. Wilder's people didn't want it right now because if he gets knocked out, Al Heyman loses his power base, which is Wilder, because of the fact that he's got a piece of heavyweight championship of the world, and if the guy gets beat, then he loses his power base. And you know, Al Heyman's had a lot of problems, as I've well documented, both on talk shows and on radio and TV talk shows, and also on Facebook. I've been quoted many times. He basically ran through $550 million, so he's got to have something to show for those dollars. And in the meantime, Wilder's that toy. And if Wilder goes and gets himself knocked out, he has nothing. At least you've got people dreaming about something that could take place. And my prediction is it happens in 2018, later in 2018. I can't see it happening in the first quarter of the year. I just can't. I think that Joshua will fight one more time after this, whether it's Big Davey Miller, whether it's the #1 IBF mandatory, whoever that may be, with the winner of whoever Pulis ends up fighting. It doesn't look like they're going to Jarrell Miller's going to take that fight. but and the taking that fight. But whoever, I think that'll be next after Povetkin. And it's going to take 4 to 4.5 months to sign that fight up and have the production at the event, because those kind of deals of worldwide television take a long time to set up. It's not like a normal show where it takes 10 weeks. You're looking at 4 to 4.5 months to set that show up. So if he fought once early next year, let's say in round figures February, in round figures, okay, believe me, we'd be pressed to do that fight next September, a year from this September, and that's just the way it is. And that as far as the fans go, the fans have to remember something, okay? They're looking at it as a fan, as excitement and entertainment and the sport of boxing. For the fighters, this is a business, and the fighters are trying to maximize their dollars, their income, and the gross revenues and the net revenues for that. That's Eddie Hearn's job, and for Joshua. And I don't have a problem with them delaying this, because I think it makes good business sense. The build-up will be sensational. Now, is there an inherent risk to this? Yeah, one of them could get knocked out. Okay? No joke. So that kid's a real fighter. And he'll fight. He'll land that. Don't think that's going to be a walk in the park. I can see Joshua having to get up off the deck one time. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised. But they come back to win. Okay, just like the Klitschko fight. That's just how things work. Povetkin is no joke. He only got one career loss. He's a serious fighter. He can box. He can punch. Joshua's going to have the physical side on him, but he's a strong guy, and he can box. He's got a good jab, and he's a very, very, very top-level A fighter. I'm not even going to use the word competent professional. He's a top-level A fighter. I tell you what, I don't feel the Wilder would beat Povetkin. I think Povetkin would stop him. So that's my opinion. So Joshua's in a fight.
Let me ask you a question. So let's wheel this in a bit. Did you think that Ortiz would beat Wilder?
No, because I know how old Ortiz really is. He's 48 years old.
That's what I heard. That's what I heard. He's 48. I heard that too. In fact, yeah, it was Amir Mansour that told me that.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Amir Mansour told me that.
Right, he's 48, and I'll tell you how I know he's 48. There was an international amateur coach, and he used to go to Cuba and take his fighters to Cuba every winter to train with the Cubans and spar and stuff like that. And he had some guys when they were 17, 18 years old. They used to, fool. When I say fool around, they used to pal around together as little kids. Well, 17, 18-year-olds, they were fighters. And those fighters today are 47, 40-year-olds.
Yep.
The same age as Ortiz was. A matter of fact, Rigondeux was 43. He lies by his age by 5 years. The other guy lies by 10.
But the thing is, I said this. I broke this a long time ago with Amir Mansour. And people are like, no, he's 39. It says it on BoxRec. I said, BoxRec doesn't tell you the complete truth.
No. BoxRec gives you something. The truth of the matter, when he left Cuba, okay, he said he was X amount of years old, but he lied by 10 years, because when you're that old, you're not going to get backing from people to put money up for you, to launch your career. So he lied about his age, and Rigondeux lied about his age too. So that's just the way it is. I mean, you can't get around that. Listen, it's pretty hard to have 400 amateur fights and turn pro when you're 21 or 22 years old. You got to be older, or you put that deputy fights. Does that make sense to you? Yeah, it does.
Okay, there's lots of whispers I heard about this whole Luis Ortiz thing. It went back to when he was Golden Boy, and the reason why Golden Boy, so I hear, I don't know if this is true or not, you'll clarify this for me, but Golden Boy let go of Luis Ortiz because he couldn't produce his birth certificate. Is this true?
I never heard that story. Not at all.
What story did you hear then?
Never heard that story. How could he produce a birth certificate when he was born in Cuba and they necessarily may not have birth certificates over there? I don't know if they do or not. Don't forget, that's been a country under communist regime since the 50s. So I mean, you're talking about something that may not exist over there. I'm not saying it does or doesn't. I'm just saying it may not. So the fact that he can't produce a birth certificate wouldn't surprise me in the least. You know,
okay.
That's why they're able to cheat. Listen, the Dominican baseball players, the young kids,
right?
These guys are 20 years old, and they say they're 19 and 20, and they say they're 16 or 17. This way, when the team come along with the New York Yankees and stuff, and they want to pass out a signing bonus of $3 million, if a guy looks real good at 16, they're going to say, what an animal is going to be when he's 19 or 20? Well, he's already 19 or 20. So they lie about the age to make the player look bad. Well, and backwards, because of the fact they take that age backwards, because these guys are afraid they're not going to get back if they tell people they're 28, 29, 30 years old, 31, 32, rather than 22, 24, 25 years old. Who wants to bat now? Let's say Wilder's been a pro now. Let's just say round figures for like 13 or 14 years. I have to look. Okay? Now, let's say, so his real age is 48. So let's say it's 15 years. Who wants to back a 33-year-old professional boxer in his first fight? No. But when he comes over, you back a 23-year-old professional fighter, would you?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. So that's why they do it. Okay? And in baseball, with the Dominicans and all that kind of stuff, that's what they do. They lie so they can get the big signing bonuses. So there's reasons why they're lying about their age. They just don't. They're not like women who just lie about their age. Oh, no. How old are you, 40? 40. I'm 28. Well, you're the roughest looking 20-year-old I've ever seen. You know, but, you know, that's a little different. They're just kind of lies that jack themselves up socially. Okay? But in the meantime, this is professional. And it's all about the money. It's about the green. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what country you're from. It's about the money.
Okay, let's clear this thing up. There are people out there that actually believe that David Price had a chance of beating Povetkin if he had more confidence because he rocked him in the round with that left hook. Your thoughts?
What was that? You digital out. What did you say? I'm sorry.
Okay, it's not, the line is not that clear, but I'll say it again. There are people out there that believe that if David Price was more confident, it would have been the end of Povetkin. Therefore, they're believing Povetkin's going to get blown away by Anthony Joshua.
I don't think he gets blown away. I think Joshua beats him, but I don't think it's going to be 2, 3, 4 rounds and out. I think it's going to be a long fight, 8, 9, 10, 11 rounds. If they look at distance, like Parker, it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me at all. You know, he's not. You know, people got to get this out of their mind. He's not a joke. He's a real fighter. He's a gold medalist in the Olympics. He was a multi-time world amateur champion. He was a WBA world champ. He only got one loss. He went the distance with Klitschko. And that's his only loss in his resume. And the guy can fight. Flat out fight. The guy can box. He can punch. He's got a tremendous chin. And, okay, he can take it. Okay, he's always in great shape. He's not a body beautiful, but he's in great shape. Okay, and in the meantime, basically speaking, it's a fight. It's a fight. You know, if Joshua was on a deck once, it wouldn't surprise me. I'm not going to be stunned if Joshua goes down once, just because of the fact that this guy knows how to fight and can punch. See, the difference is Wilder doesn't know how to fight. Wilder throws wild, crazy, barroom punches, like the guy sitting next to you in a pub saying, oh, this guy can fight a little bit. Look at him throw. And all of a sudden he gets up and throws these windmill punches. That's what he throws. A guy who throws boxing punches, square boxing punches from traditional positions is a dangerous guy because they're short and they're crisp. And you can't see, what hurts you is the punches you don't see coming, which are those short, crisp punches. Those wild punches, you can see coming a mile away. I mean, I'm a 60-year-old. I can get out of the way of those punches. I can see it coming. You understand? So I don't buy. I don't buy that Joshua's an easy fight. I know Joshua's going to give it all he's got. It's his last hurrah, and in the meantime, it's going to be a fight. Not even a question.
Okay.
Let me reverse the question now, Ingram. Okay, what do you think that David Price would say right about now?
David Price will say, "Please don't let him hit me on the chin. Hit you on the chin the way he hit me on the chin."
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, listen, I know Joshua is big news over there, and he's big news no matter where he appears, and he's a great fighter. I mean, will he make me forget about Lennox Lewis?
No way.
Yet. But Lennox Lewis was a complete fighter. Lennox Lewis was a gentleman, and Lennox Lewis was a well-spoken guy, just like Joshua. And, Joshua could be the next Lennox Lewis. It's too early. Lennox got knocked out early on in his career by Oliver McCall, and he came back to become even a better fighter. He learned from what happened to him. He didn't underestimate anybody. Then he did again against Steve Rockman. He came back again. And you know what? Joshua might have the identical career. But as far as waiting for Wilder, I like Eddie Hearn's move. I like the other side's move. They're both posturing. So I just think it's a bigger fight down the road. Bottom line.
Okay, let's talk about Povetkin a second. Are we going to see Povetkin or Pedvetkin? Meaning the various times he's been suspended from boxing for activities.
Yeah, that's over with. He got caught. That's over with. That ain't happening again. That is the steroid thing. That was then. This is now. He's not stupid enough to do that again. It's a career payday. And he's not stupid enough to try to win the fight on steroids. He'll be glad to pick up a $6 million paycheck, $7.5 million paycheck. So I just don't think that. I can't see him doing the steroids. His first objective, he will get his check. The second objective is to win. He's not going to be able to get his check if he gets caught on steroids. So that's just my opinion.
Okay. The fight will happen in London, they're talking, or does this fight happen in Russia?
Oh, no, 1,000% it happens in England. Not even a question.
Okay.
Not even a question.
Well, Rabinski would want it in Russia, wouldn't he?
I'm sorry?
Rabinski would want it in Russia, wouldn't he?
Yeah, but he's not going to have a choice. Because his guy can't do what the other guy can do with the gate and with the worldwide TV and everything else, and he's not going to have any choice. And he will make him a deal to come over to England and stuff like that. Listen, Joshua doesn't need to go anywhere. The last time I'm looking at Joshua fights, there's 85,000, 90,000 people there. If you had a bigger stadium, there might be more people there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
He's a massive draw, and he should be. He's a great great example of somebody who, has had a rocky past, and he turned his life around. He's good looking. He talks well. He can fight. He can punch. He looks the part. I mean, there's nothing negative about the guy. Nothing negative at all. Zero.
What about Povetkin? There are other people that think Povetkin's seen better days and he's fading. That's why he didn't look so good against David Price.
What about him? How is he fading?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, listen. I would have figured Povetkin would knock them out in two. I would have knocked out Price in 2 to 3 rounds, and he took 5 rounds. I don't know if it was a case of Price did better than he was supposed to do, or the other guy did worse. I really don't know. I just know one thing: you got a real fight in your hands. The people of the UK and people around the world should be happy. We're going to get this fight with Povetkin and Joshua, and they have to do his double mandatory out of the way, and move on to bigger and better things. Because every time Joshua fights, he'll get bigger. He'll get bigger. And he's a good promoter, and he's a good promoter. He knows what he's doing, and when it comes to promoting. And in the meantime, he'll get bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, this is the way it works. And by the time he fights Wilder, the whole world will be talking about the fight. Okay, and there'll be a lot more money. It'll be a $200 million fight instead of a $100 million fight.
Okay. Rick, let's talk a little bit more about. We've talked about Povetkin. Let's talk about Dillian Whyte and Joseph Parker, about that fight and the setup of that fight.
What do I think of Dillian Whyte and Parker? I think it's real solid. I mean, it's guys with two solid guys. Parker's proven to have an excellent chin. White looks like, except for his loss with Joshua, he looks like the real deal. And you know what? It's a very, very good fight. It's an excellent fight. I mean, I wouldn't call it. What's the description? Let's put it this way. I'm not saying I can't wait for that fight. Okay, like I would be about Povetkin and Joshua.
Yeah, I get that.
But I think it's going to be fire. I think it will be fireworks. And I think you're going to see a different Parker than you saw with Joshua, because I think I'm not saying he's afraid of Joshua, but he's leery of the physical side and the power and the physical strength of Joshua. I think he was leery, and I don't think he fought up the mental capacity. I don't think he fought up the mental capacity. I just don't see that. I see good things from Parker. I've seen good things from Parker. I think Parker is a real fighter, and I think White's a real fighter. It's going to be a really good fight. Now, I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I can't wait for the fight. I'm going to watch. I'm going to be enthusiastic, but I'm looking forward to Povetkin and Joshua.
Okay, Chisora versus Takam.
I'm sorry?
Derek Chisora versus Takam.
Well, that's really like a WC. It's like who cares? I mean, it's two guys that been there, done that, and they both failed us. And Takam has a great chin. I can see Takam winning. He's got a great chin, but they're both too. They're sort of like. WC, like, who cares? It's a good fight entertainment-wise, but in the big picture, who cares? WC.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense. What's your thoughts on the rise of Joe Joyce?
I haven't seen enough of the form an opinion yet. Daniel Dubois. I haven't seen, how do you pronounce his name? Dubois. I haven't seen enough of those guys, Tony Yorka. I haven't seen enough of those guys to form an opinion yet. It's too early. But what I've seen of Joe Joyce, I like. What I've seen of Yorka, I like. I haven't seen Dubois at all, Du Bois at all. But if there are three comparable, competent professionals at an early stage of their career, they look like to be the next. The three of them look like to be the next, the next wave of real good heavyweight. Listen, one of them, out of the three, is going to turn into Ollie Harrison by accident. The odds of all three making it big is very rare. So one of them will turn into the next Ollie Harrison. But which one, I don't know. Yeah, right now they're all solid. Well, let's see what happens. From that, let's see what we're talking about. 18 months. They will know more.
I'm sure you've been watching the return of Tyson Fury.
Well, listen. I think he's great for boxing. He's crazy enough that he's great for boxing, and people take to him for entertainment purposes. He's a good fighter, but I mean that was embarrassment. To fight a guy that much smaller, who had had no. I mean, the guy looked like a fire hydrant with stubs for arms. I mean, come on. I mean, that was pretty bad. That was pathetic, actually. I didn't even think he looked that good, considering that he fought somebody that inept. You know, the guy just wasn't a fighter. But, you know, Frank Warren does things differently than I would do them. You know, he'd rather get a safe win and embarrass himself. I wouldn't want to embarrass myself. I'm more of a purist. If it was me, I would have like somebody that was a more physical, comparable matchup, and a guy that was, you know, more of a competent, known professional than some guy out of the withers of Italy or everywhere he was from. That guy was pretty bad, horrible bad.
Well, there's a few things Tyson said which I still can't get my head around. It says that he won't fight Tony Bellew because Tony Bellew's a cruiserweight and he's a small guy, but then he goes and fights Tyson Fury at 5'10", and he's a cruiserweight, and he's like Albanian cruiserweight. It didn't make no sense. He doesn't make much sense. Now he's calling out Wilder after this fight. He's saying that he'll fight Wilder next, but then he's saying he needs 4 fights to warm himself up.
Let me run this by you. Let me stop you. Let me run this by you. Since they fought Klitschko, of all the things that have come out of his mouth, has anything really made any sense?
No, not to me anyway.
Right. He doesn't say anything that makes any sense. So I wouldn't even. You can't look when a guy is like that. You can't look into what he says. He don't say anything. You know, 1 minute Frank Warren's his best friend, next minute he's going to be suing Frank Warren. They want to kill Frank Warren. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just the kind of talk. He says anything that comes to his mind, and it ain't a good mind. So, yeah, how could you say, well, what do you think of what he said? Well, I mean, the guy was named after another nut, Mike Tyson. Where's that guy at?
It makes me concerned already, and this whole thing about him becoming world heavyweight champion again. I've said to people, look, let's put the Klitschko result to one side. He's got a new team. He's now with Ben Davidson. He's not with Peter Fury. It's a new setup. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's good enough anymore. And he lost too much of himself, gaining the weight, you know, reputedly, supposedly, and allegedly on drugs, drinking, eating a lot. Who knows? I don't think your body can go from almost 400 pounds back down to fight weight and lose 150 pounds, 120, 125 pounds, and be what he once was. Between age, deterioration, the punches you take in the gym, the punches you take in fights, the drinking, the food, the supposed drugs, the lifestyle. You know what? I don't think he's going to be the same fighter. I didn't see that in him when he did fight, and he fought a guy that was completely inept. And that guy had no talent at all, no punching power. He looked like a fire hydrant with 2 stumps. Awful.
It's not you're not exactly singing the praise of Tyson Fury at the moment. What do you think of his him leaving his trainer who took him to the world title, Peter Fury, to now with Ben Davidson, who's 25 years old? What do you think?
Well, it's a guy, he can tell what to do, and he can control the situation where he couldn't do that with Peter Fury. Peter Fury wasn't going to let him do that because Peter Fury is not going to be Tyson Fury's foot boy. So you got a guy who will stand up and talk back to him and can try to control him, and he doesn't like that. He's a runaway freight train. He's a renegade, and that's just how they behave. He wants a yes man. He wants somebody that will tell him that he can tell what to do. He's not going to allow anything different than I just explained. It's not him to do that. That's not the kind of guy that he is. And that's just a fact. I mean, people, Tyson Fury fans may not want to hear that, but that's what you're getting. You're getting the truth. That's just the way it is with Tyson Fury.
Unfortunately, I've been trying to say this for a while in different ways and beat around the bush, and I've said it to Fury fans, and now somebody else is saying it. You're not the only person who said it. It hasn't come out of my mouth. It's come out of somebody else's mouth, and it's like, yep. Let's have to wait and see. Tyson Fury versus Tony Bellew.
Tyson Fury versus Tony Bellew. I don't think the fight's going to happen, to be honest with you. I believe one's with, if I remember correctly, one with Frank Warren and one's with
Eddie Hearn.
One's with Frank Warren and one's with Eddie Hearn. That doesn't exactly spell what success to me. So I don't think that fight's going to happen. I think that for Frank Warren, I think that in Eddie Hearn's mind, he's smart enough that he's not building up turtles for snakes with Frank Warren. So he's gonna put Bellew in. Probably, I would imagine, maybe if Dylan White wins, he's gonna need a guy for Dylan White to fight that's gonna draw people. Bellew and White's a big attraction. If White beats Joe Barton, does that make sense?
Makes sense. Okay. I see that.
He's going to look to co-promote with Frank Warren. He doesn't need to co-promote. He needs fighters to fill his own deal, and he's not going to get involved with Frank Warren. There's too much bad blood there. You know what? And there should be bad blood there. So I don't have a problem. With bad blood. You know, the bad blood is what it is. You know, so, it's not pretty, but it won't help make that fight.
You're from the outside. Normally people from the outside have a better idea what's going on the inside. So what is it that's caused the bad blood between Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren? It's not just competitiveness, is it?
No, in Frank's mind, you know, he was the king of rock and roll over there. He was the king, and this guy came along and sort of like overran him and undermined him in his mind, and he wants to protect his own turf, and he's not going to want to put Tyson Fury in and have Wolfgang get over on him that he wins. And then Eddie Hearn doesn't want to have Frank Warren get over on him that this guy lost to Frank Warren's guy. So those things play into these people's minds because there's a lot of egos involved. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of pride and stuff like that. So it's a situation that's that's sticky with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just don't see it happening for the reasons I said.
Okay.
You know,
all right. The last time I spoke to you, we talked about Carl Frampton. You told me back then that you thought that Carl Frampton, who's one of my favorite fighters, you think he's sort of like past his best. Do you still feel that way?
I'm sorry, I missed that again. I feel Carl Frampton's what?
Carl Frampton. You said that you felt that Carl Frampton was past his best. You said to me last time you felt that the best of.
He's definitely fatty. You can't take that many shots. It's a deliberating business in sport. You can't take that many punches and be healthy. Up with you. And that's just what's happening with him. He's taking too many punches. So that's all there is to it. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter who he fights. Every time he's in World War III. So there's your answer. You know, and it's kind of money that they got to pay Carl Frampton. They're not going to let him fight a soft, easy fight. It doesn't work like that. For he's almost KO games.
Okay, fair enough. Two of Britain's the fight that a lot of people in the UK want to see, Brook versus Khan. Why is this fight not being made? And how do you see the status of both fighters in the UK and in the US?
Yeah, I don't think.
Hold on. Rick, your mum. We can't hear you clearly.
Okay, I don't think Brooke can make 47 and I don't think Tom wants to fight over 47.
Rick, we can't hear you. Oh, you sound like you're totally underwater.
Okay, I do nothing different than just 5 minutes ago.
No, you just sound really underwater. Sorry, Rick. Try again.
Can you hear me better now?
Let's try again. Yeah, try that now, Rick.
Okay. I don't think Brooke can make 47 safely, and I don't think Kyle will fight over 47. That's number one. Number two, Tommy wants some tune-up points before he's going to win a real fight.
Right, you're breaking up again, Rick.
He's supposed to be fighting Sammy Vargas next. He just can't feel the Greco. He's fighting guys from Canada for centers, and both guys are from Canada. And I don't know. They're both,
Rick.
Fighters are going nowhere. Yes.
Yeah. Let's try that. See if that works, because you really sound muffled. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, they're both fighters that are going nowhere. That he fought, the one he knocked out in 16 seconds, and now this guy, the next guy, he'll be a little better than 16 seconds, but not much better.
Oh dear. No more than 16 seconds.
Yeah, he knocked out Greco in 16 seconds, didn't he?
Yes, he did knock Phil Greco out in 16 next guy, it's a step up. This guy's a little longer than 16 seconds. Oh, Dick. And you were saying about Kell Brook. Tell us about Kell Brook again.
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of heart. He's got problems, obviously, with his eye sockets. He stops guys every time out because he wants to make a big buck. So he can't fight journeyman fighters. And every time he's in there, he ends up fighting somebody real. So, I mean, it's going to happen to you. I think he's got 1 or 2 more fights left in him. I don't think that Khan is that big a deal. He should be able to beat Khan. I mean, Khan isn't much at all. No chin, and, he's not much. But, who knows what Brooks got left in the tank? It's like I said, it's a degenerative sport. It wears you down physically and mentally, mind and body. And you know what these guys got left? That's why Frank Warren put him in with that stiff, because he had no confidence in his own fighter. Talking about Tyson Fury. But he didn't know what he had left. Well, he had enough left to beat somebody that was two leagues up from that. And that fighter was a D. He should have fought a B- or C+. That was disgusting. But listen, I'll leave it. If you want discussing, I'll leave it up to Frank Warren.
What about let me go back to this thing. I know that Tyson was talking about facing Shannon Briggs at the end of the year. How does that fight go for you?
Well, I think that Fury should he has a better jab and is now the fresh 46 years old. But Shannon, if he hits you on the chin, I mean, you could say goodnight to Fury. This guy's a lot better puncher than Steve Cunningham. Cunningham was a cruiserweight, he couldn't punch. Moved up to heavyweight, he still dropped Tyson Fury. So, who knows? But it's not a bad fight. I'll tell you one thing. I'd like to beat that press conference. That'll be fun. They can both talk their ass off.
Who's that?
Shannon Briggs and Tyson Fury?
Yes.
They can both talk their ass off. That'll be an exciting situation. No question about it.
People are saying he won't get his license to fight in the UK. What do you think?
I have no idea. I'm not a boxing commissioner over there. I don't know what their exact restraints are, so it's too hard to say. I don't really comment on things that I have no expertise on.
Okay, that sounds great. Matchmaking.
I may have expertise in a lot of areas of boxing, but about the British Board of Boxing Control, I'm not very ideal.
Thank you for being so honest on that. Matchmaking. Talk to me about this one. I spoke to Abel Sanchez. He told me the rumors between Saunders and Golovkin are not true. There's no fight. There's no contract. Then a few days later, Tom Loeffler comes out and says, Billy Joe Saunders was meant to fight on August the 25th against Golovkin. Then I hear 2 days later on that Golovkin and Canelo are signed. Were they just using Billy Joe Saunders as a pawn to?
I think they were. I mean, why would you want to fight a moving left-hander if you're 36 years old? Makes no sense at all. You know, I mean, makes no sense at all. So, why would you do that? Why would you want to have somebody use up their way? You know, moving guys at left hand. I mean, nobody in their right mind should do that. So I think it was all BS. And if Frank Warren bought into it, Frank Warren bought into it. Whether he did or not, whether De La Hoya bought into it, I don't know. Obviously, it worked pretty good. I don't know if it was done with intent. I think it was done with intent, but and the fact that Frank Warren would buy into that, and the fact that De La Hoya would buy into that's embarrassing because nobody could do that stuff. Why would you guys go GGG if you play a moving left-hander? I don't know. Makes no sense at all.
Doesn't make any sense to me. Golovkin 2. My thoughts are, I'm just sharing my thoughts. I think that Canelo may have be a lot fresher than Golovkin. I think Canelo can box better in the rematch. What are your thoughts on this?
On the road, GGG a year more wear and tear on his body, both the training camps and stuff like that, the couple training camps he'll have, and also, you know, the punches he's taking. And I also think that he can't get any better, and he can't get any smarter. I think the other guys can get smarter and better.
You think the other guys can be smarter and better? You're breaking
I think you learn from his mistakes in the first part. I think he hung back too long and started up too late. I think if he would have started out 2 rounds earlier, he would have won a decision, and I think he will do that this time. They'll put more pressure on him. They'll start out with more body shots and stuff because the other guy is 36 years old.
So I've got Canelo winning that fight this time. So you think Canelo wins as well?
Yeah, I do too. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if you're James DeGale, do you take on? Do you grab a fight against Billy Joe Saunders, or do you fight Istaki?
Who was the second name?
Ustaki. I can't remember Ustaki's name. I can't remember his name is. The guy that Ustaki's the.
No, he can't beat. He can't beat that Venezuelan that fights out of Mexico. No, he can't
beat him.
He can't beat him. If I was James DeGale, I should be looking at the 2 fights that he won or lost with Caleb Truex. I would take the biggest money fight and make it against a non-puncher. And Uzaki can punch, and the other guy, and Saunders is not a puncher.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I will take the Saunders fight.
If I'm James DeGale and I'm James DeGale's management, I say, you know what? Take the Saunders fight. He's he's coming up from middleweight to super.
He can't punch. He's a middleweight coming up. He's not going to punch any harder than he at 68 than he does 60. DeGale's a bigger guy naturally, and I would say you fight him as a bigger domestic fight than Uzaki doesn't mean shit over there. Doesn't mean anything. It's a bigger promotion. There's more money. There's a better chance of winning the fight. That's what I would do if I was there.
Okay. Man, Lucas Matita. I heard that Pacquiao had some money problems and the fight might not be happening. Then I heard Bob Arum may jump in.
There's a misunderstanding. Pacquiao's not having money problems with the promotion. It's the people that are coming up with the money from Malaysia that haven't come up with the money.
Okay.
That's the problem. It's not Manny's money. Manny's looking for them for the money that was their deal that they made come through yet. They're still waiting. Everybody's still dreaming that it's coming through.
What's your thoughts on it? Do you think that Aaron will have to jump in or what?
Aaron's not going to jump in. Why would Aaron jump in? It's not even promotional. He was only supplying the TV. He was giving them revenue. Okay, well, Aaron's not going to jump in and risk his own money because he's going to lose money without the Malaysian backers. Now whoever puts the money will lose money. Everyone will lose money. And the situation is that Aaron's thinking that he wants McKenzie to fight Crawford. So he's not going to help. Why would he do that? It makes no sense for Aaron to do it. I've never known Bob, except for Richie Sandoval, who got culminated in 1986. In March of '86, we put him on the payroll for the last 32 years. Bob Aaron was a guy I've ever met. He's kind of philanthropist. So I don't believe that he can go come riding up on the white horse and say, here's $15 million every day. That's right.
You're breaking up again, Rick. Sorry. You're breaking up again, Rick. Here we go.
Yes?
Keep breaking up. I'm not sure why that is, a connection. You'll have to thank E. This conversation is sponsored by EE at the moment. That's our network we've got here in the UK. Yes. Rick, what's your thoughts on Chris Eubank Jr.? Chris Eubank Jr.
He's all right. He's a real kind of top 10 fighter. He'll be a legitimate WBA, IBF, WBO, WBC champ. Not really. He's just a guy. He's a warm body. He's also going to go cold some night in the near future.
Okay. What's your thoughts on? Have you seen Josh Kelly fight yet?
Who?
Josh Kelly.
I saw him on YouTube. He's very good, very strong. He's got big ability. He'll be a big draw over there. If he isn't already, he'll be a big draw. And also, he can fight. Don't tell. He's a real fighter.
Rick, you're breaking up again. Can you ring back again, Rick? I think there's something wrong with the connection.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you ring back in 2 minutes, try again. Okay, we're going to get Rick to ring back. There's certainly something wrong with the connection here. So I'll let him ring back, and then so we'll see if the call can. We'll see if we can get a clearer connection. I hope you've been enjoying the evening with Rick Glaser, the international matchmaker from the USA. He's worked with over 32 champions, worked with Don King, and he knows his stuff. So it's always a pleasure to have someone like Rick Glaser in the room. So he's 36 champions, former champions, and #1 contenders in 18 years. He's worked for former heavyweight champion Larry Holmes, matchmaked his fights on the old weekly night shows. Oh, that's my ringtone. Okay. Rick? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Much clearer. Beautiful, Rick. So, okay. So let's talk a bit more about things that you hear in the media or stuff we're not aware of. Talk to us about this deal that Eddie Hearn has, this $1 billion deal.
Well, it's a 2-year deal, and if the zone reads off after 2 years, it turns into what I understand is an 8-year deal. Don't forget, it's thousands of $1 billion. But that's over 8 years, number one. And number two is what's things fights will be on it, Joshua, and that's going to be a $20-25 million guarantee right there.
Right.
And that's, let's say, twice a year. He's taking $50 million out plus the opponent and the rest of the show. It's not as much as it's out. It's great. Don't get me wrong, but it's not as much as it's out.
It's not as much as he said it is. Then
it's what?
It's not as much as he's claimed it is. The $1 billion.
No. I'm not saying it's not $1 billion.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. It is $1 billion, but it's over 8 years. Number one, okay, about $120 million a year, round figures.
Right.
A little over $120 million. And don't forget, you got Joshua fights at $25 million a blast, $30 million a blast. Take it right out off the top. So if you got the rest of the show, you got $60 million a year to produce 30 other shows. So now you're down to $5 million a show total. It's not as much as it sounds. You understand what I'm saying?
Right. How effective do you think this new deal he has with Daz? How effective do you think that's going to be in the US? Do you think it'll be a success?
It's too early to tell. People want, it's really way too early to tell. ESPN was very successful in their first promotion, but they want $4.99 for their app. And I heard the zone is like $25, $24, but $21.95 in Canada or something. So I don't know if it's going to be effective for that kind of money. I really don't. In other words, the ESPN app was $4.99. So, I mean, and there are a lot of New York Yankee games over here on that. And the New York Yankees over here is like Manchester over there at soccer.
Wow.
So they're awful big. They're awful big. So, if you know what I'm saying.
Wow. Talk to us about things or some things you may read in boxing or news that we are not aware of in boxing at the moment. Maybe some things that you can share with us.
Not really good. And not that I can't share them. I would if I had some. There's nothing today that's earth-shattering even worth talking about. I had a fighter call me up the other day, asked me to recommend him to an attorney. He wants to sue a major player in boxing. I recommended him to an attorney. And that lawsuit will be coming out probably, 2 months from now. We'll be suing, maybe 6 weeks from now. So they'll be filing a lawsuit. I can't even talk about this. It's a client confidentiality relationship. But I will say this to you, that the lawsuit has a tremendous amount of wheels that makes sense. It's a very solid lawsuit.
Okay, talk to me about I know you love to talk about Al Haymon. Talk to us about Al Haymon and what's going on with him.
Well, the snake is slithering away little by little. I mean, he went through $550 million in 30 months, and his shows are dwindling out. He's got Showtime left. He's got a couple Fox shows, a couple Fox Sports 1 shows, and nobody gets South TV. Nobody cares. Nobody even gets that stuff. And he's going away little by little. All his fighters are leaving him. A lot of the middle of the road fighters are leaving. The top guys haven't left yet, but they will be. You can't. There's not enough shows. Doesn't have enough fights and enough money to carry all those fighters. Not happening. That's what's happening right now.
You've got Errol Spence and Keith Thurman. They're two key players within the welterweight division that he has his hands on. Can we see those guys? I heard Spence signed a new deal with Al Haymon. That's what I heard. How much truth is there in that?
Well, let me run this by you. This is why Thurman's not fighting, because he was paid $2.5 million to fight his previous fights. Now Haymon wants to fight, give him $600, $650, or $650 to fight regular, to fight people, and he doesn't want to fight for $650 because Haymon spoiled him. And he doesn't want to fight. The only way he can get that big money now is to fight Spence. He doesn't want to do it. So now he's pissed off. So it's simple. Well, listen, I got to cut it short right now. I'm meeting somebody in 20 minutes for dinner, and I got to take a shower.
Okay.
So in the meantime,
Rick,
I'm going to let you go for now. It's been an hour. I'll have to do this again. I don't mean to cut you short.
I know.
But before you make contact with me today, I already had prior plans. If not, I would be on here for 5 hours with you, because I love talking to you. You have a great show, and I want to say hello and goodbye to all the great fight fans in the UK and around the world.
Rick, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon, Rick.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Rick. Bye-bye. So there we have it. Rick Glaser talking to BWTM Sports. I hope you've enjoyed that. Now, got some other news for you tonight. Don't forget, 2 a.m. UK time, 8 p.m. Chicago time. Jessica McCaskill is live and exclusive video interview with the female boxer from Chicago. Last fought at Bethnal Green against Katie Taylor. She has big ambitions to still be a world champion. So you can join us back here for that. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll see you soon. Take care.